quarterbacks aren't the only ones breaking the bank anymore. Edge rushers are rewriting the financial playbook for the NFL. And if you thought that Micah Parsons' deal was the ceiling of the NFL, think again. This video is going to tell you exactly why Hutchinson's next deal is going to be north of $53 million per season.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again!
Man, from sacks to stacks, it's exactly what's happening with this edge rusher market. It's insane, isn't it? Micah Parsons, who just signed an insane deal, is responsible for partially responsible for what this meteoric rise of the NFL defensive end salary, is now. But we want to look back at what happened since 2020 and why the franchises are in panic mode, right? They're in panic mode. And so I'll start with this. The NFL in the edge rusher position, or the market at least, it's undergone a seismic transformation. Like I said, we're going to look at 2020 forward to today. Evolving from just a premium position, one that wasn't found a whole lot, to now it's the most financially dominant position in football or roles on a team. Once overshadowed by quarterbacks and their contracts, big mega deals, right? Defensive ends are now commanding record-breaking contracts, which you've seen what's gone on in the last few weeks. Defensive ends, they're topping offensive stars. Whether it be a quarterback or a receiver, it doesn't even matter anymore. They are the highest paid position not named a quarterback. Now, if David Mugeta, who is Micah Parsons' agent, is to be believed, well, he just told us exactly what's going to happen with Aidan Hutchinson, and the fact that he thinks the market for Aidan and others is $65 million a year, which is no less, and I'll do the math for you, than $53 million when Aidan signs his next deal. Let's listen to David Mugeta and what he had to say.
From an APY standpoint, if you're just looking at the average that was offered to him, I believe it was 40.5 was the offer, which would have made him at the time, from an APY standpoint, the highest paid. That being said, the way the cash flow was structured over his first 3 new years, he would not be paid as the highest paid player in the NFL. So again, that's why I say the devil's in the details. And another important part of the contract was a 4-year deal versus a 5-year deal, right? When you look at that 5th new year could be the difference in $30 to $40 million for the player. If you look at where the pass rusher market was a year ago, it was at 35 million or so with Nick Bosa. Now it's at 47 million in 1 year with Micah Parsons. So 4 years from now, what do you think that number is? It's probably closer to $65, $70 million a year. And if we lock in that 5th year currently at $40 million, just that year alone is worth an additional $30 million to Micah, if not more. And that's not even counting the raise that he got for the next 4 years, or the fact that the Packers were good enough to us that they gave us the 5th-year option as a linebacker this year as opposed to a DN. So that's an additional $3 million. So, the difference between those two deals you're looking at could be possibly, $60, $70 million when it's all said and done.
$65 to $70 million a year for a defensive end. And you wonder why Brad Holmes doesn't have 2 elite defensive ends on the roster. There's your answer. What he's talking about, Micah Parsons got his new deal with the Packers. So what he's talking about, he got paid as a linebacker for the 5th-year option this year, because apparently that number is higher than the defensive end, 5th-year option. And since he has been a linebacker and not a defensive end, which moving to the Packers scheme in a 4-3 base, he would become a defensive end, or he could be the outside linebacker. We'll see which direction the Packers are going to go in. But exploding the market to 2028 to maybe $70 million a season, you're going to price yourself out, right? There's no way you could carry 2 elite defensive ends on any roster ever, right? You'd have to draft and develop one at the same time. And you have one that's developed like Aidan is now, and then you draft another one when Aidan signs his deal. And hey, you just hope that that young buck is hitting the ground running, kind of like what Aidan did. If we had a rookie season out of our next defensive end, similar to what we had out of Aidan, then I think we're, obviously in extremely good shape. Highly unlikely that that's going to happen. So let's break this down, man. Let's walk back to 2020 and the baseline that was set by TJ Watt in 2021. So elite defensive ends were already well compensated back in 2020, but the market really hadn't exploded yet. It was TJ Watt's 2021 extension with the Steelers that was that pivotal moment. The contract was 4 years, 112. Average AAV was $28 million. Guarantee was big. I mean, about 75%ish. So $80 million on that deal. Watt's deal reset the expectations for the edge position. It reestablished a new benchmark for, production-based pay, right? Because he was playing very well, and he wanted to be compensated for how well he was playing. TJ, now I'm going to take it a step further, and the biggest thing we talk about is injuries. Well, what happens if you sign a player to this kind of magnitude of contract and then they get injured, right? I mean, you lose one season with a guy and that deal is now exponentially higher. Break the deal down in how many games you played under that contract, right? I think that's what people need to look at. If you miss a season, that deal just went up. If it's a 4-year deal, that deal just went up 125% for that year, right? Or 25%, I should say. Watt's durability has been tested repeatedly since signing this extension. 2021, he had a groin strain. It was grade 2. He had a hip strain. He had a knee sprain, all of which he missed games through. 2022, he had a major pec tear, grade 3. In week 1, missed 7 games. He also went underneath arthroscopic knee surgery during rehab. So he did a little double whammy there. While he was rehabbing the pec, he had the knee done. 2023, he sustained a concussion, missed, I think, a game. 24, he had a sprained MCL in week 18, missed the wild card round. The most important part of the season he missed, the playoffs. So despite all these setbacks, I mean, TJ Watt still remains one of the most disruptive defenders in football, but his availability has fluctuated. So there's the question. You sign a guy to $200 million. If he ends up missing a season, you're paying him $200 million for 3 seasons now. That's insanely more expensive. Okay, let's get on to 2023 and 2024. So Nick Bosa, well, he was the next wave, or both these guys, really. Nick Bosa came, just as fast in 2023. He signed a 5-year deal, $170 million extension with the 49ers. It went from $28 million with TJ Watt in 2021 and jumped all the way up to $34 million on average per year in 2023. Just 2 years later. 2 years, averaging about $3 million a year that this edge room was going up. Well, that's totally changed now, right? So he gets $122.5 million guaranteed, $50 million signing bonus. His injury history, post his extension, relatively clean, right? 22 had a groin strain. It doesn't really have any effect on 23, obviously. But 2023 through 25, no real major injuries of significance. So Bosa's durability, obviously, it's helped justify the record-setting deal that he's had, especially given his explosive first step, right? And the snap count that he's levied over the last few years. Just months later, right? The next season, this year, Myles Garrett inked a 4-year deal, $160 million. Reset everything once again. So you go from 23, Nick Bosa signs his deal, to 2024, Myles Garrett jumps it once again. It went from 28 to 34 to now 40 million. But it wasn't just 3 million a year now. Jumped to 6 million a year additional. So the reason why I said in the beginning Aidan would be 53 million, that's because Parsons signed for 47. So if you add the 6 million on average that's been happening here, that's 53 million. But they're not stopping there. That's the nutty part of all this. It's not stopping there. These contracts weren't just about sacks, right? They reflected leadership, durability, market leverage. Garrett's deal came after a trade request, proving that even disgruntled stars could still extract some historic value. I mean, Parsons kind of did the same thing, all right? Micah Parsons then shatters it all this year. Wasn't just 40 or 40.5 or 41 or even 42. No, 47. 47 million. Blockbuster move to Green Bay in 2025 redefines the market entirely. Contract, 4 years, 188, 47 million, 120 at signing. And his agent is David Mugeta. First agent in history to do $1 billion of new deals in one season. $1 billion with a B. And he did it in about 5 deals, which is incredible. Parsons' deal obviously just wasn't being about the richest for the defensive player. It was the richest for any non-quarterback in NFL history, which just happened twice over. Myles Garrett did it. Parsons has done it. Aidan will do it. Mugeta appeared on the was it the Up and Adams show and some other shows, but anyway, a lot different multimedia outlets, including what's his name? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But they hinted, just like you heard, at the $65 million per year number that is going to be happening before 2028. So if you do the math, which I did because I got to thinking about that, I'm like, how do we go from 47 to 65 by 2028? So you're talking 26, 27, 3 years, times 6 million is 18 million. Add that to 47 million is 65. So the number from what these agents are only going to accept is that the deal goes up $6 million a year, as high as $7 or $8 million a year, up to $70 million. I don't know of any team that is going to be able to pay 2 defensive ends $140 million a year, right? So you can forget about it. But even one would be the highest paid individual in the league today at $70 million. Let's listen to what else he had to say about the Micah Parsons deal and how this is so significant about working these deals. But before we do, sticking with the injury history, Parsons somehow hid this major back injury, or the Packers were just that naive to not think it was going to be a big deal. But this has the potential, this L4-5 facet joint sprain in his lower back that is requiring some sort of a steroid injection. It could be chronic. This could be a chronic back injury. This could blow up in their face. And this is why these deals, I mean, they have to be right and perfect as rain, right? To be done for your team. Otherwise, they can completely blow your team apart. Now, despite passing his physical, like I said, the Packers, they're gambling on a long-term durability issue with Micah Parsons. Parsons has played 63 of 68 games, but last year, he started to miss some games. Before I get to that next audio segment, the Hutchinson horizon, man, like this deal is coming. The sun is rising, and so is Aidan's deal. Detroit's next power play with Aidan, who's the Lions' cornerstone on the edge, well, he's just next in line, right? He's entering the final years of his rookie deal. Do the Lions have to do anything? No, they don't. Could they sign him to franchise tag after franchise tag? They absolutely could. Would that be really good money? Well, yeah, when you consider the top 5 deals now. That's extremely good money. The question is, most importantly, what is Brad Holmes going to do? Is he going to draft somebody next year finally early and help, with the roster roulette here and get someone parked in this team that can help, kind of balance this big contract out? Because you're not going to be able to go to free agency after signing a guy for $70 million or $65 million or even $53 million. It's going to be impossible to go to free agency unless you're willing to lose some other players, which is potentially going to happen. But to say that the projected contract for Aidan Hutchinson right now is no less than $212 million over 4 years, I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't know how they're going to do it. If Aidan signs before 2026, well, he could then again reshape the NFL's, contract structure for the edge market. But if he doesn't, right? If Brad waits until next season, that deal's probably no less than 53. If they sign right now, it's probably 47.5. Maybe he should have signed Aidan while he was injured, but that probably wasn't a good play either. For the simple reason that we're talking about with the injury history of these guys, it could be a huge loss, not only for your team, but the players that you're going to lose by signing someone to a mega deal like this, because it's going to happen. Let's hear about the rest of Micah Parsons and this deal that was going through with Jerry Jones. Jerry's just, you guys know about Jerry. He's just an evil dude, man. Let's just take a listen to it.
As far as Micah's concerned, he was out of the country. He got a call from Jerry's assistant and was asked to come in to meet about leadership. So when he got back from his vacation, he came in and he gave them a call, told him he was back, he was ready to meet. At some point during that meeting that was represented to him was going to be about leadership, it turned into contract talk. And, if you're a 25-year-old football player and your boss, who happens to be the most powerful person in the NFL, starts talking about contracts, it's hard for you to end that conversation. So they had a conversation. Micah nodded his head out of respect. Obviously, there's a power dynamic that's a little different there. One guy is the owner of the team and the GM, and the other one is Micah Parsons, a young 25-year-old football player. So I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication there by the time Micah walked out, but at no point did Micah believe that he was negotiating a contract.
Jerry's just slimy, trying to pigeonhole his defensive end or linebacker to get a deal done without his agent. And you see how that went down. Once the agent got involved, man, Parsons is out of there. And he got a huge deal. Good for him. I have some questions. My questions, maybe you've heard me say this before, but by 2028, the defensive end, position may command quarterback level salaries. The factors driving this surge include the rising salary cap, which is projected to be about $300 million by 2028 or beyond. What, 279 or something like that right now? Increased emphasis on the pass rush for some teams. In analytics-based defenses, at least, it works. Shortage of elite edge talent. It's been that way. These guys don't grow on trees. Agents demanding multi-year, guarantees and injury vesting clauses, but also shorter deals. I learned a long time ago that for anybody in the NFL, a 3-year deal is the deal you sign. And the reason why is you play 3 years, you get a max deal. Well, then you can play 3 more and get another max deal. And then you can play 3 more and get another max deal. Your goal is, if you're going to play 10 seasons, you're going to get through your rookie deal and get 2 more max deals on top of it. But if you're signing these 4 and 5 year deals, well, then that's not going to happen, is it? So the agents are smart. And so what they've done is they're trying to reduce the number of years so that you can get a max deal and then get another. It's giving you a huge ability to maximize the value of your player, of your client, right? And getting your 3%. Mugeta just made $6 million off the Parsons deal. $6 million. It's insanity to me. Complete insanity to me. My question, though, is this. We've seen what happened with the running backs, right? my question will be, is the league going to once again collude to try to stop paying the edge in this position, allowing them to hit free agency, and then all of a sudden no deals come their way in a flurry, right? They table it, kind of similar to what they did with the running backs, kind of starting in 2020. What we had found out was back in March of 2022, the NFL Management Council at the owners' meeting, the Management Council reportedly encouraged all 32 teams to reduce guarantees in veteran contracts. And this came shortly after Watson's $230 million mega deal that was fully guaranteed that completely shocked everybody in the NFL, but also alarmed the owners and the executives. Can't do that, right? You're going to sink us, Browns. What are you doing? Is what was going on. So they started with the running backs, right? The running back market was going skyrocket, just like the edge. So despite strong production from top-tier running backs like Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, who else? I'm sure there was a few more. They were all franchise tagged, right? And then struggling to secure long-term deals. Teams began citing positional value and durability concerns and other reasons as to why they should avoid these multi-year guarantees. Brad took a running back in the first round. He'll probably do it again before having to pay, through the nose for a running back is probably what he'll do. He'll just draft again. Same thing with the edge. He'll probably draft again. Whether he keeps Aidan or he doesn't, he's probably going to draft again. If Hutchinson, Parsons, and the other future stars like Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, he's going to get a bag, George Karlaftis, Kayvon Thibodeau, Will McDonald, dude, I absolutely wanted Brad to get. If they continue to deliver, there is no reason on this green earth that the $65 million AAV threshold won't just be a projection anymore. It'll become reality. Aidan's going to be part of that problem, but this is going to be the new normal in the NFL. We better get used to it.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down